Hospitalizations are horrible on our vestibular system. So we're lying flat in the hospital, right? Rarely get out of bed. Even if they do a good job, you're lying flat on your back. Maybe 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, 12 days, few weeks. If you're in the ICU, it's even worse, right? Long-term care. Our vestibular system is meant to work with gravity, which means standing up, sitting up, right? If you're in the hospital, you're lying flat on your back. Your system is not getting even basic stimulation. You're perpendicular to gravity. And so you'll get people all the time coming out of the hospital with dizziness and balance problems. They're 50 years old and they're stumbling out of the hospital because they've been lying on their back the whole time. So then if you take that and rotting, and take an 80-year-old and then put them in the hospital for a week, see what happens to them. And then you throw in multiple hospital visits. And that's not even considering the medical reason why they're in the hospital in the first place. So head injuries are more likely to increase the risk of vertigo. Head injuries, if an older person falls, anytime you put damage to the nervous system, you're going to cause more problems, particularly with the vestibular system, because the vestibular system stretches all throughout the nervous system, all through different parts of the brain. So if you put trauma to any part of the brain, the vestibular system can be affected. So the solution, there we go. That's what we came for. So strengthening the vestibular system. So the walking that we talked about, and then moving your head, getting out into the environment, getting out into the community. You talk about the effect on older people with COVID. Okay, so now we're taking a population of people. First, we've terrified them. And now we're going to keep them completely isolated. What are they going to do? They might drink, yeah. That's one solution. Now, the millennials are going on YouTube, or where do you go for a group exercise class? Or where does it?
She goes on
Peloton, yeah. They go on Peloton or wherever. They go online, and during COVID, the younger Gen Zs, right, and then millennials, right? Okay, so the ones who are younger than Gen Xers and maybe some Gen Xers, they're taking exercise classes online during COVID. What does the older person do? Their go-to is not. You're lucky if you can get an older person to go do formal exercise in the gym or in here. Now, as they get older, they have more time. But remember, Dr. Cooper's book didn't come out till 1968. Pumping Iron didn't come out till 1976 or whenever it was. And then so formal exercise in the weight room and fitness centers and all these things did not start getting popular until the 80s and 90s. How old were you guys by the 80s and 90s? 40s, 50, like most of your adult life, your habits had already formed. So what's the likelihood that you're now going to go to a gym? Now later on in life, you join your peers in formal exercise, but it's still not, and then they take away group exercise classes, right? In skilled nursing facilities, it's devastating, right? Walk's a great way to do it. Walking is a great solution. And so I'll throw in a treadmill is good if one is used to the treadmill, but it's also all the visual stimulation that's coming at you. That's good for your vestibular system because our vestibular system is directly connected with our eye muscles.